I never thought there'd come a day I'd print a fake letter, stamp it with a red seal I bought on Shopee, and slip it into a classmate's desk, just to see him break into a sweat. Here's the setup. I'm a senior in a public university's business program. Our class has around 50 people. It's as chaotic as a group chat. In the middle of that chaos is Hal, our do-it-all guy, vice representative for external affairs, MC for every event, treasurer for every fund from class fund, hoodie fund, to traditions fund. He speaks slick, flashes a crooked smile at everyone, and says the magic words, "I'll handle it." I'm the grumbly one who takes notes and, frankly, gets suspicious when things don't add up. It started when the class decided to order commemorative hoodies and plan a pre-graduation trip to Mouine. Hal collected deposits, $250K per hoodie, $700K per person for the trip. He posted an Excel sheet in Messenger with neat green check marks next to each name. I paid on day one to avoid losing a slot, and the procrastinators still paid up within the week. Then 1 week turned into 2. Hoodies were delayed because the factory's overloaded, and the trip was postponed because the bus company's doing maintenance. Meanwhile, Hal was still live streaming while selling mooncakes for someone in class and posting fancy cafe stories. Anytime someone asked, he sounded perfectly competent. "Don't worry, you'll get the hoodies on Friday. I've confirmed the order. Hey guys, the tour company had to shift dates because of a storm. I'll move it to next week. Same price." Another week passed. No hoodies, no tour, and Hal started replying to messages slower and slower. One afternoon, I was at the little sidewalk cafe outside the gate, my iced milk coffee sweating on the table, when my phone buzzed with the final hit to my optimism. The tiny friend who always wears a high ponytail, whispered, "You know what?" I gave him another $1.5 million for a cheap iPad, Gen 9 from his cousin. He promised 3 days and then ghosted me. My stomach dropped. It wasn't just the hoodies or the tour. There was the iPad, food vouchers, indie concert tickets, a dozen different "I'll handle it" threads woven into a net, and we, the people who paid, were tangled in the middle. That night, the class group chat exploded. Someone shared a rumor. Hal got into football betting, owes tens of millions. Hal jumped in, dropped a single line. "Everyone calm down. I'll start paying people back tomorrow." Those other things fell through because partners flaked and disappeared again. He didn't show up to class the next day, or the next 2 days. The Excel sheet stayed green, but the human behind it vanished. That's when a bunch of us met in the third-floor self-study room, the AC damp and chilly, everyone pale. Me, Lynn, my buddy in the same row, and 7 or 8 others. A plan to go see his family got scrapped because, well, none of us knew his address. Go to the police felt too heavy and scary. Bang on his dorm door was vetoed because the security guards are strict. In the end, Lynn, the usually softest guy, came up with something. What if we do a psychological play? Make a memo from student affairs, like a request to come in because of financial complaints, scare him into showing up. All eyes swung to Lynn. I, the most computer-savvy, swallowed hard. Was that too much? I went back to my rented room, opened my laptop, and pulled up old-school memos. None of us planned to put him on blast online or ruin his life. We just wanted him to show up, talk, and give the money back. I spent half the night building a document that looked similar. Boring Arial font, the school logo smack at the top. The content was vague. Requesting student NVH to be present at 1400 on XXX in room 204 to discuss matters related to class funds. Failure to appear may result in a record being made. I avoided words that could cross into outright forgery. I'm not here to teach anyone tricks, and I didn't want to be a villain, so I kept everything as generic as possible. The next morning, our little group met in the second-floor corridor, where classes keep flyer cubbies. I slid the envelope with Hao's name into the slot, my hands shaking. Lynn kept lookout. Mai scanned the hallway. Done. We retreated to a corner, half joking, half terrified. 12:37. Messenger pinged. Anyone else get a letter like this? Hao sent a photo of the envelope in our small 4-person group. Me, Lynn, Mai, and him. Flashback. Months ago we'd done a project together and made a chat. We still shared files there. My heart pounded. Lynn replied, "Probably just a routine meeting. You should go." Mai added, "You haven't done anything shady, right?" 1:55 p.m. The corridor outside room 204 was quiet, except for the ceiling fan. We hid behind the glass door across the stairs. At 2:02, Hao showed up. White t-shirt, dark circles. He paced with the letter in hand like a cat refusing to go into the bathroom. He pulled out his phone. My screen lit up. Hao calling. "Do you know what this is?" he rasped. "How would I know?" I kept my voice flat. "Maybe someone filed a complaint. Just go in." The door swung open, and that's when our script got shredded. Room 204 wasn't empty. Turns out there was a hastily scheduled meeting that day between the faculty and class officers about exam security. Associate Dean Tuan was inside with 2 staffers from Student Affairs. Hao stepped in, face chalk white, stammering, I'm Hao, I the memo."
Dean Tuan frowned. "What memo?" I wanted to run in and yank him back out, but my feet felt nailed to the floor. Inside, a quick back and forth happened. Hao handed over the letter. The dean turned it over. Expression unreadable. He asked a couple of gentle questions like, "Are you having any issues?" And then, Hao burst into tears. He slumped into a chair, bawling and rambling. "I owe money. I took their hoodie and tour deposits. I meant to pay it back, but got squeezed. I messed up. I'm sorry." The hallway could hear the hiccups. One of the staffers sighed, handed him tissues, and asked him to sit properly. The dean didn't yell or coddle. He just wrote something in his notebook. Lynn tugged my sleeve. "We're screwed. Now what? We didn't have time to decide." One of the staffers opened the door and said, "You outside. Are you Hao's friends? Please come in." I swallowed the lump in my throat and walked in. The air felt like ice. I stood next to Hao. His shoulders were shaking like he had a fever. The dean spoke slowly. "If there's a financial dispute among students, the university can facilitate mediation. But what is this document? Who sent it?" I opened my mouth and closed it again. I'd never felt so exposed. A kid who staged a childish scare, suddenly in a very adult room. In the end, I told the truth. We thought he was avoiding us, so we made the letter to get him to meet us. We were wrong. I braced for a firestorm. Instead, the dean nodded and pushed the envelope back toward us. "The school doesn't send documents like this. But I'm glad you came here instead of choosing violence. If Hao acknowledges he owes money, we'll draft an internal agreement between you. No discipline as long as this is resolved. In the future, do not play around with official-looking papers. Everything after that went step by step. No yelling, no, we're done with you forever." We listed the amounts paid, about $20 million for the class's trip and hoodies. Individually, Mai's $1.5 million iPad thing, and a few others for 200 to 300K bits. Hao signed a written statement, acknowledging debts to classmates committing to repay within 30 days. The staffer added a line. During this period, both parties should refrain from defamation or sharing sensitive information. That line hit me hard. Apparently, grown-ups can diffuse drama as easily as breathing. Out in the hallway, Hao signaled that he wanted to talk to me alone. He stammered, "I'm sorry. I thought a bet was a sure thing, and someone pulled me into crypto. I got scammed first, then I scammed you guys after. I ran out of options, so I hid. I looked at him, anger curdling with pity. He wasn't grand anymore. The white t-shirt was dusty. Ink stained his nails. That night, I sent the class a photo of the agreement, names and student IDs blurred out, plus an apology for the fake memo stunt. Some people were pissed. That was messed up. Some joked at least it flushed him out. Others shrugged, as long as we get our money. In the following days, Hal began paying bits back. First $2 million to Mai, then $5 million to the trip treasurer. Turns out some tour money was still in his account. He started doing food delivery at night and ditched betting. Sometimes he missed a promised date and asked for 3 more days. I was still angry, but seeing him ride through the rain with his head down, I swallowed it. Not because I forgave him right away, but because that dull chasm called consequences was teaching him more than I ever could. 6 weeks later, all the money was repaid. The class trip to Muine died. Hoodies got canceled. Something in our class snapped anyway. Hal resigned from every position. He sat in the back row, quiet. Sometimes we'd see him at the canteen carrying a food delivery bag, eyes sliding away from everyone else's. You'd think that was the end. But the twist came last week, when Student Affairs actually sent him a real letter requesting a meeting. Reason: an anonymous complaint alleging fraud. This time, he figured it was another prank and ignored it. He got marked No Show 1. A staffer called me, my name was on the previous agreement, and asked me to remind him. I hurriedly texted, "This one's real. Go." He sent back a grimacing emoji. I'm terrified of letters now. He went in with a stack of transfer proofs showing he'd repaid everything, and it was fine. No discipline. But I've been chewing on it. Our fake memo pushed the situation toward a neat outcome. Money returned. But it also left him with a weird trauma. Panic at the sight of an envelope. And there's something else. If room 204 hadn't been occupied that day, if we hadn't randomly run into the dean, who knows where this would have gone. A screaming match, phone cameras, a Facebook call-out. I'm not telling this to flex about some cool revenge. I'm not proud. I'm just grateful. And aware we walked a very thin line between standing up for ourselves and using a shady tactic. I'm not offering a tutorial. Don't copy us. If I could rewind, I'd probably wait another day or two and go straight to the faculty office as a group instead of playing mind games. But weirdly, that childish trick forced the truth out fastest. Now, once in a while, someone jokes in class, "If you're late, you'll get a memo," then silence. No one laughs loudly. The shadows of white envelopes still float over the desks. Last night, Hao texted me, "Thanks for not blasting me online, and sorry again." I replied, "It's done. Let's just finish the semester." That text doesn't fix all the cracked feelings, but it puts a period on the sentence. I'm writing this to ask honestly. Am I the asshole for pranking a classmate with a fake letter to force him to face us, even though we got all the money back? Or was that the only thing we could do at the time? I'm still torn. And I don't know whether to keep being friendly or just let things fade until graduation. What should I do next?